I'm gonna give you a little example as to how it's as within, so without. See, every choice and decision you make, all right, your body's gonna react to it, right? So if you're eating garbage, your body does everything possible to keep itself healthy, right? So if you're eating garbage, what does the body do? Your body develops mucus. It develops a bunch of, things to actually protect itself from you, basically. So if I'm eating healthy, right, I'm benefiting the body, but it's all me that's making the decisions and choices as to how the body reacts, right? The system outside of you is set up in a way to disconnect you from you. The system will actually present to you certain things to get a rise out of you, to feed your emotions into it, and it feeds off of you out of that. So the system outside of you is thriving to survive, but it needs your participation to do that. Just like the body needs your participation to detox at times, eat a little bit cleaner to survive, right? But the crazy thing is that when you're in a lower vibrational state, you're at the mercy of the system outside of you. Because if you're vibrating high, then you're actually going to create a better experience for yourself in this reality, and you're more susceptible to becoming self-aware and self-actualized. Okay? So the system outside of you is basically God, because you depend on it rather than that system depending on you, which it really is depending on you to participate for it to survive. But it has you in the mental state thinking that you're participating in it because you need it, rather it needs you. If you didn't participate in that system, that system would cease to exist. You know what I'm saying? But you don't go to war with the system outside of you. What you do is you do the work on yourself. See, a lot of people actually start to worry about what other people outside of them are doing, when all those people are just basically reflections of them. It's a projection. It's a reflection of what they're projecting out. Pedophilia, all this bullshit. Let's say that person committing pedophilia doesn't feel guilty. Who's to judge them? You? They're the god of their reality and their world. So if you're judging them, you're only hurting yourself. You ain't hurting them. On the contrary, you're giving them more power. The government, every time you blame the government for something, you're just giving them too much credit and more power. When if you just ignore them to the point where they're just like little gnats, you know what I'm saying, doing their thing. Sometimes you got mosquitoes. Sometimes I'm hiking and I got mosquitoes that want to go inside my eyeball because they're looking for something moist or whatnot. I don't know, but it's just weird because they try to go inside my eyes. And I mean, they're just gnats. They're doing what they need to do, but they're annoying. You know what I'm saying? Am I going to go and physically try to destroy every single gnat that's in my way? No, I don't even see them. But sometimes I'll just wipe them out the way, and that's it. Same way I look at shit that's not serving me outside of me. I just swat it away like it's a gnat. Okay? I am aware of what it's doing, but I'm not going to feed my emotions into it. What I need to do is just make sure I change myself from within, and everything outside of me just magically changes. And what doesn't serve me ceases to exist. Now, if I am vibrating high, don't forget I'm still going to be part of this system. But now I'll be managing my system with the consciousness knowing that I'm outside of space and time, knowing that everything outside of me is me, which basically I'm using God's mind, because God's mind is the mind of the collective. That person that you're observing in your reality as a pedophile or as whatever the most heinous act that person may be doing is still an aspect of you. It's a reflection of you to some extent. You just need to sit back and figure out what it is. A lot of people just live here. You know what I'm saying? And this is your plane. This is your dome. That's why they say, yo, I got a shaved dome. You know what I'm saying? And real wisdom is basically you knowing that this pineal gland up here, okay, is the masculine gland. Just like the sun is a masculine planet, right? El Sol. And if you start to see this gland, the pineal gland, is responsible for your circadian rhythm, the sleep-wake cycle, melatonin, serotonin. And then you got your pituitary gland, which is your feminine gland. Okay? If you look at the sun and it's in the middle of the sky, they call that high noon. And then the most high, the pineal gland is your seat of your soul. All right? It's in the middle of your brain. The moon cycles. You see how I made a video a long time ago where I'm talking about the moon and black holes and whatnot, where I see the moon coming in and out of dimensions. Okay? The whole moon cycle, pay attention to your pituitary gland and how that works, how it's responsible for growth hormone and whatnot. See, you're here. You only live here. if you start to explore the rest of the universe, you'll start to, people who debate flat earth, round earth, and they start to talk about inner earth and whatnot, okay? You're living here. Here's the sun and the moon, okay? And if you take the dive into the water, okay, you'll start to get to know if you're actually really hungry or not, because you think you're hungry because you're thinking with this. But sometimes you may just be thirsty, but you're in the water, so you get to know your body a little bit more. Then when you're around here, you'll start to know that true hunger comes from a sensation in your throat. And then when you start to go down, now you're hitting inner earth. All right? Because the anagram for heart is earth. That's the black sun. That's the inner earth. Not the black sun, the inner earth. That you talk about going into the dome, okay? Into the center of the universe, and the center of the earth. You're hitting the inner earth. And there's another sun under there, which is your solar plexus. And then when you go lower, there's your cosmic beings. You know what I'm saying? Where you get all your genius information from. See, the problem is that, why do you think the Egyptians took the brain out through the nose? You know what I'm saying? They kept the body intact. They didn't open up the body like we do over here, or the grotesque stuff that we do. But then you're worried about karma outside of you. You leave your now moment, because this is a linear reality. You see, you're in a system designed to separate you from you. That's the problem. So you don't see, it's the same way. How could you love others if you don't love yourself? How could you trust others if you don't trust yourself? Well, how could you see the connectiveness in others if you don't see the connectiveness in yourself, where it actually projects out in your reality, so you can start to connect all these dots as to how you see everything out here is basically everything that's going on within you. It's the same shit. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to see the connectiveness in yourself, you start to see the connectiveness in others. You're worried about karma in other people, but those people are not your business. You need to mind your business. And the crazy thing is that all the shit that you see outside of you that you consider bad or heinous or about the lowest act possible, and you're like worried about that person's going to get their karma, you're judging them, and you're not their God. They're the God of their reality, and you're the God of your reality. But you must realize that when you say your reality and my mind, your mind is outside of space and time. I mean, I'm sorry, you're outside of space and time, and the mind of God is the collective, as I said. So everything you see out here, if you're looking at it from your perspective only, then you're only looking at it as a fractal. Such a limited way of looking at it, because you see, you're a multi-dimensional being, yet you're looking at everything linear. Based on the choices and decisions that you make right now are depending on the threads of possibility that you're bound to experience. Because everything, this is the realm of infinite possibilities. But based on what you're doing right now, not what you do tomorrow, or what you did yesterday. Yesterday doesn't exist, and tomorrow depends on what you do now. So if you see a bunch of people outside of you doing fuckery, are you going to go to war against pedophilia, a war against the government, a war against a war on saving the children, which is the biggest trap, a war on rape or domestic violence, or look how many things are outside of you, and it's all to distract you. It's all to get your attention outside of you. You know what I'm saying? Because the real work happens is when you work on yourself. All those things that you see outside of you cease to exist. They cease to exist, and they will die off. The same way, the way you do the work here is like, let's say your body. If you decide to detox your body and fast and start to eat clean, exercise, which is an exorcism, because you see, you got your pores, which are the portals, and you sweat all the toxins out of there, right? Now, if you decide to detox your body, what ends up happening? You got cancerous cells, you got mutation of shit that don't belong in there, phlegm, mucus, garbage. It starts to come out, right? Because it doesn't belong in your body. It's making you feel sick or a certain way. So what ends up happening, right? You physically didn't go inside your body to do that. Your body is doing it for you. But because you, as the God, decided to make a conscious choice and decision to have your body detox these things for you. So you didn't have to do shit but just fast and have an intent, and your body did the work for you. That's you controlling the situation, but it had it work for you. You don't have to lift a motherfucking finger. So all the things you see outside of you is the same thing. Once you do the work on you, those people cease to exist. The same way these cancerous cells just come out, those cancerous cells just leave your reality. But don't forget, the reality you have is subjective, because everybody that you see outside of you, if they don't feel guilty about the shit that they're doing, who the fuck is there to judge them? That's why they say only God can judge me. But the God is them, and you are the God of your world. And if you do something heinous in their eyes, then if you do something heinous in their eyes and you don't feel guilty about it, what the fuck can happen to you? If you feel guilty, that means you know better. That means you're consenting to knowing that you did something bad, you knew better, and you're still participating in that act. So it's basically, it all comes down to you anyway. See, to other countries, United States is evil, is the worst country ever. But we're here saying, God bless America. The land of the free, the home of the brave. But the people that know better, what happens? They see it for what it is, and that's it. But if you believe in God, you'll see God. You'll see Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? Everything that exists here as a thought form exists. Everything. But because it's in this realm, and you're outside of space and time, and you created it. But you will only see if you believe it, and they will see what they believe in. You see, you have Arabs and whatnot. They have these suicide car bombs. They'll run that car into a motherfucking building and kill thousands of people. But in their mind, they did something divine. Because they were serving a higher purpose. Now, they fed their energy into that higher purpose. But you got to realize that this system needs you just as much as your body needs you to make conscious choices and decisions to keep it healthy. Because even when you're eating garbage, your body will create mucus. If you're in a stressful situation, fight or flight, only to make sure that you're good, that you're safe. You get what I'm saying? But that can go two ways. That can look two ways. That can look as a good thing, and it can look as a bad thing. It can mean that this body is trying to keep you here in this reality. But then again, you can make this reality your hell or your heaven. The same way the systems outside of you need you to strive and survive, your body is doing the same thing. When you now start to become conscious or woke or whatnot, the system will test you in certain ways, okay, to keep it healthy, because it needs you the same way your body needs you to do certain things to keep it healthy. But the system outside of you is designed to put you in a lower vibrational state, even though it sounds crazy, because the system needs you. It's putting it that way in order for you to become dependent of it. See, that's the whole thing. There's not a harmonious or symbiotic relationship there. That's not natural. That's living inverted, and that's truly evil. Because if you were high vibrational, healthy, you become less dependent on the system. And you also become more conscious and self-aware because you're vibrating high. You start to think outside the box. But when you're in a low vibrational state, you become more dependent. Fear starts to kick in. And people are controlled through fear, lower vibrational emotions. So what ends up happening now? If you cannot see the connectiveness in yourself, how could you see the connectiveness in others? If you ignorantly destroy your body, you're destroying everything outside of you. Hence why you reincarnate. And it's all due to ignorance. You're here to transform and transmute, but you're also here. You see, this is the funny part. We talk about sacrificing. Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross, all right, for our sins. The funny thing is that if you do not know how to take care of yourself, you're not taking care of anybody outside of you. Hence karma, cause and effect. Now, if you become conscious, you become self-aware and self-realized, self-actualized, then you'll know that the reason you're taking care of yourself is because you're literally really taking care of others. Okay? You will have zero room for judgment. But here's the funny thing though. In your reality, in order for you to vibrate high, then you need to keep your body healthy and strong. There's things that aren't working in harmony with nature or the natural way. So when you do the work on yourself by actually detoxing and meditating, now all these negative things that don't work for you in your favor cease to exist. You get what I'm saying? The system is designed to work in harmony just like it works in nature. In nature, you got a bunch of trees all bunched up together. But there's nothing there that's working under the survival of the fittest theory. It is actually working in harmony with each other. When you garden, you're gardening in a way where it is not set up exactly like nature. So you would have to synthetically do things, such as feed your plants synthetic fertilizers, even though they say organic, but they're really not organic. The same way, like when you go to the supermarket and you see organic food, is it really organic? I'm growing food and it don't look nothing like what I see in the supermarket. So I start to question, is that really organic? So if you're looking at your garden, you synthetically have to feed it. You're participating in the system for one, but you're also feeding it synthetic fertilizers, which is basically getting fed to the plant, and it's going to pass those synthetic nutrients to the trees, and you'll stay a synthetic being. But when you start to do things and replicate it, because you understand the soil, because man came from the soil, okay, you'll start to understand that everything that happens where it doesn't even need you. I didn't have to feed my garden. I didn't feed any fertilizers to my plants this year. I didn't even spray neem oil. I did nothing to my garden. All I did was I had an intent. I came from a divine space, because my divine space is the natural state, is abundance. But when you start doing things as a human, then you'll always have hindrances, because the human always has ideas of lack and attention, chasing something, getting lost in a desire, when in actuality, that's not really you. So what I did was I had everything thrive the way it thrives in nature. I had everything closely planted together, but I conditioned the soil off compost matter, organic matter, which is food scraps. I conditioned the soil the year before, and then I put a bunch of wood chips on top. The rest is me having an energetic connection with the plants, where I knew what they needed automatically, just naturally, without me having to do research. You get what I'm saying? And everything's thrived perfectly. I had a lot of fruit, and I've gotten more clarity from the information that I'm eating, because what I'm eating is information. You know what I'm saying? It's just like people who do urine therapy. Are you doing urine therapy to just become a better human, to be a stronger human? Or are you doing urine therapy to actually process what is in you in a more bioavailable form? Because now you're going to process it. When it comes out of you, okay, your body didn't use it. So what do? You have it in a cup now. Now it's in physical, in your reality, and you intake it with the intention for the body to process it and become even more bioavailable information, because water is information. Water holds your emotions. So you process it. And whatever happens, you look at it as the God outside of space and time, and you work on it accordingly, with no judgment. In nature, things work naturally, neutral. Here, neutrality is the highest way to be, because you're protecting your energies. And when you have nature, and you have this, and it's all information, that's what it is. See, if I don't have information from one person to another in a way where it doesn't involve language, then you'll have certain emotions that the ego starts to, intimidation, fear, jealousy, you know what I'm saying? But when you see the connectiveness, you're not looking at it from the ego standpoint of view, you're looking at it from a divine space. You get what I'm saying? In nature, you have a mother tree, just like you have Mother Earth, just like you have a motherboard. Man was created in the image of God. And then you have the computers created in the image of man. So you get information from your computers that could be corrupt, or it could be beneficial to you, but you'll attract what your state of being is, your source. In nature, plants thrive because that mycelium network underneath lets one tree know if another tree needs nutrients, and it will pass nutrients down to that tree, all due to the mycelium network underneath. But the mycelium network has to have the right conditions for us to thrive. It has to have a certain shade. It has to have a certain pH. It has to have a certain level of moisture, darkness, right? Notice how when somebody eats a mushroom, they get altered states of consciousness. So that mycelium network is the roots, and the flowering part is the mushroom. So when the mycelium network feeds that tree, okay, it's giving that tree nutrients from underground, because nobody's feeding trees in nature. So it's feeding it phosphorus, nitrogen, everything it needs. And in turn, the tree is giving the mycelium the sugars it needs based on the processing of the sun. So you see how it's working in harmony and symbiotic relationship? But it can also be parasitic, because if the tree is unhealthy, then it's going to eat the tree from the inside out, but the tree will fall and become compost for the rest of the forest. So what's happening here now is that you have energies that you can use to your advantage, kind of like the voice of the voiceless. But if you're not actualized and self-aware, then these energies are going to use you rather than you using these energies. And there is no bad or good. So we'll talk soon.